Hey, everybody, and welcome to this recap episode of The Mind Shift. It's a podcast where we discuss all things creating a life beyond limits, how to break through limits and create the life that you're really here to live, the greatest version of it. This time I had the privilege of sitting down with Anthea Livingston. She's a remarkable woman who identified some fears that were holding her back, got through them, and has just really smashed life. I don't know if I want to say it that way, but she has just gone for it, and she's become this amazing creator in her life in all aspects. And it was a great conversation. This is a recap episode where we take just one or a couple or a few snippets, and we delve further into them. So these gems that the guests like Anthea are sharing, you can take into your own life as a watcher and apply them and break through some of your own limits or increase your results to the degree that you want to. And that's the purpose of this podcast, The Mind Shift. And so we got a couple of snippets this time from Anthea, real gems. Again, it's always difficult, and certainly was with Anthea, to choose which parts of this conversation that we were going to pick out and delve deeper into. There were many gems. I have chosen two, and so I'm going to play just a snippet. It's about sort of a minute and a half, and then we've got another one that's a couple of minutes, and we're going to come back and in between just delve into those more deeply and learn some tools or discuss some tools that all of you can use to be able to break through your limits and create a life beyond limits. So here's the first snippet, and we'll come back after that.
One of the main things I remember, and having listened to lots of different speakers where they talk about, you've got to set goals, you've got to have your 1 year goal and your 5 year goal and your 10 year goal and for business. But when I worked with you, it was in all spheres of your life, not just business. It was, what are your family goals? What are your spiritual goals? What are your mental goals? What are your physical goals? Being able to actually set goals in every sphere of my life, not just business, was something really new to me and quite exciting. And think, oh, okay, so in our family goals, this is what I would want. And just being able to pinpoint exactly what my hopes and dreams were for the future was, quite exciting for me, not just business. Like, business is really important. It was important that I set goals for the business, but actually the whole rounded part of being able to set goals in every sphere of my life was something that really excited me. And once we started, I remember it just flowed. It's just like all the stuff coming out. I want to achieve this. I want to travel. I want to be the chair of Home and Family Society. I was a board member at the time. Like, within 10 years, this is what I want. And it all, it's only been 9 years now, and I'd achieved it all by 2023. So in some ways, perhaps I didn't look far enough, but exciting that it gives me the chance to actually recreate again now.
I'm really thankful to Anthea for sharing this. In the journey of discovering, learning how to create a life beyond limits, it's occurred to me that about a third of it is becoming clear about what we actually want. A lot of times we go through life, whether it be in a professional capacity, a business, a career, our personal capacity, a relationship, marriage, parenting, our health and well-being, we've got a vague idea about where we want to go, but it's just too vague. It doesn't unleash the power that clarity actually has. And it's something I'm really thankful to Anthea for bringing up, the power of that in the first part. And I've even selected a second part of what she said of the podcast to delve even deeper into that again. But for this part, there's so many different aspects of life. And we tend to have, when we set goals, if that's what we do, or even we set goals whether we know we do or not. Like, it's, we have things that we achieve, and we know where we want to go, or have some idea of where we want to go. And often we can set those in a particular area. Often I know as a business owner, we can just hyper focus on business. Even when I've been I've gone to do some speaking, and perhaps I'm doing the mindset piece and someone's doing the goals piece. It's like, that whole thing is like, what do you want in your in the business. What's your financial goals? And in the business world, it's often that way. However, life has way more than one component to it. It has all those things that Anthea spoke about. We have a family life of some sort, whether it be our own family or our parents or friends that we consider family. Of course, if you have children and marriage or relationship, we've got our health and well-being. We've got our mental aspect of life. There's just so many different aspects of life. And if we're going to live the best version of it, we need to understand, what's the whole thing look like? Often what I find, and I certainly did for a long period, was get caught up in the day-to-day of life, the day-to-day, and just, become reactionary to, okay, this is what I've got. So the first thing I think of when I get up in the morning is, what do I need to do for this? What do I need to do for that? And there isn't that space often to just step back and say, what do I actually want? Whether it be 10 years, I even advocate going way beyond that, 50 years, 40 years, and Anthea certainly doing some of that as well. It's getting the bigger picture of what it all looks like. And Anthea said something powerful, that as she got clear on that and it started to unfold and started to happen, clarity is actually a power. And I highly recommend for everyone to get clarity across the different aspects of your life, so that you can really, achieve the most that you can, or get the greatest result, because you have that inspiration and that clarity about the way you want your whole life to look, not just one area. So I'm really, that was an inspiring part of the chat for me, so much so that in, I think it was about 40 or 50 minutes, that podcast. If you haven't seen it, please go back and do. It was a great episode. This is one of two things that I picked out. And the second is aligned with that also. So we're just going to have a look at the second snippet of this podcast, and then we're going to come back, and it does deepen what Anthea had already been talking about. We're just going to allow that to go a bit more, so we can understand the power of clarity and hear from Anthea what it did for her to get clear. So we'll listen to this snippet and come back.
Do you remember, for me, it was just like dissolving stuff from that previous working relationship. I had all these assumptions in my head about what was happening in that business and what was being done to me, whereas they were just assumptions. And we talked through several times about what was happening, and I came to realise it was so good for me, because I came to realise I had all these things in my head that weren't even true. I was just making them up. And once I was able to actually dissolve those assumptions about what was being done to me, nothing was being done to me. That person was doing what was right for them and their business. And it didn't sit well with me, but it wasn't being done to me. And so that freed me up to actually stop thinking about what other people were thinking of me, and actually think about, what is it do I want? What do I want, going forward? And so doing that work on each sphere of my life and putting in that 10-year plan with those 1 year and 5 year goals, but in every sphere of my life, the moment they went on paper, they started to happen in real life. Like they just happen. And then doing the work with you for those couple of years, and then doing the mastermind intense for a year, not only learning about myself, but learning about all the other people who are in mastermind, the same fears, the same worries. Everybody has these things in them that stops them from being who they are and reaching their true potential, and going, oh, okay, guys, if they can do it, I can do it. And I think from that 2020 year, which was a really interesting year for everybody, and we did a lot of our work online. Thank goodness for Zoom. Everything just went like a freight train from that moment. From the moment that we all graduated, and I couldn't stop it, because what had been started was happening, and everything that was on my 10-year list was happening way faster.
Yeah, wow. There were two things in there that when I watched the episode back, and I thought, these are the parts to pick out of it. There were two things in that. And one is, for a period of time, Anthea had felt something was happening to her, and as a result of focusing on that, everything was stuck and stopped. And, so many times we are focused on what's going wrong or who's in my way or what are they doing. We don't even know that we're doing it sometimes. It's just where the mind goes into focusing on all of that. And what we don't realize is that when we're doing that, we're actually in a stuck point. We're not focused on what do I actually want, like Anthea said, what focused on how do I want my life to be and how do I move in that direction. And we can get caught up in these things. I find really, probably a sad fact, but I find most of us do. We get caught up in what's going wrong or why can't I do what I want or who's doing what to me and who's holding me back. It's just so rampant in the world that we have these ways of looking at things. And she said something really powerful. Someone was behaving a certain way, but they weren't behaving a certain way to her. They were just behaving a certain way because in their mind, in the way that they were perceiving things and what they felt was important to them, they were behaving in a certain way. It wasn't about Anthea. And once she was able to break free from that, I loved what she said. I was then free to focus on where I want to go, what I want to do with my life. That is of utmost importance. It's kind of simple in a sense that we just need to create a life beyond limits. We need to break through the limits that we've currently got. We need to identify them, break through them, identify where we want to be. And as Anthea said, it just powerfully starts to move in that direction. It's a simple formula, but because we've been conditioned for so long, or not conditioned so much, but we've learned, we've observed that we need to be a victim of circumstance. We need to blame and we need to find reasons why things aren't happening. And all that while, we're not focusing on the one thing that most matters. What do we actually want? What do I want with this life? And what do I need to go? And starting to put the focus there. And I love the freight train comment because it's been my experience, my personal experience, and with people I've worked with over years and years now, when they do what Anthea just said, when they get free from those limits, when they get free from judgments of other people or worried about what they're doing and focus, get clear on what they want and focus on it, that freight train happens. It's the process. It just starts to move. And I love what she said. I can't stop it. It's like an energy that starts because of the power of focus. And the power of focus is just something so important. Are we focused on why we can't do something? Are we focused on someone that's in the way? If we really look carefully, sometimes we have to stop and look carefully. What am I focused on? What am I primarily focused on? Am I primarily focused on being victimized by someone or being stopped by someone or fear that I can't do something? Or are we primarily focused on, I know what I want and I'm going to go do everything I can to get there? So I am really appreciative for Anthea for many things she said in that podcast, but that I chose that because it illustrated those 2 points and how they work together. So I hope if you're watching this podcast, you must have some desire to get past or identify and get past any limits that you've got. And I hope that you will really consider that you will take it and go, what's limiting me? Let me take a really good look at this. And how can I shift that? How can I start really focusing on what I want and, watch your freight train of your dreams start coming true is my hope for you that you will take from this and go forward. So once again, I want to thank Anthea for being on the podcast. And I want to thank you for tuning into it. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of The Mind Shift.